Your Humanities Half Hour is brought to you by the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
Hapade Zantero, welcome to Your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry, and today we're looking at psychology from a slightly different perspective, the psychology of fitness and health. And joining us today to share his knowledge, he's a certified personal trainer with the National Academy of Sports Medicine since 2016, and also a certified fitness nutritionist, Jerry Diaz. Jerry, welcome to the show.
Nice. Thank you, Miss Catherine Perry. This is truly an honor and a blessing to talk to our people, our youth, and our community. And I'm truly excited to share with them essentials and fitness and health information.
Well, I'm really also glad to have you with us because you seem to be very passionate about your work, aside from being very knowledgeable. Maybe you could start us off with what is fitness? And also, what isn't fitness in today's world?
Right. That's actually a question that I get every single day. Whether I bump into someone at the market, or I get a message on the Messenger or IG. And as we know, as what the fitness industry says is, we gotta live a certain way. But there's many ways to describe fitness. But what I always share with individuals is, when I get this question, is how do we live healthy? How do we live happy? Right? How do we live with a purpose? And it's nothing different from other goals in our life. But if we want to center it on fitness and nutrition, it's the same elements. It's the same ingredients. And when it's complete, and when your mind, body, and spirit as a whole is binded together and is in sync, then that's the fitness description for you.
Mm-hmm. There are a lot of fads nowadays, a lot of, probably all throughout the history since fitness became a thing of you should do this or you should eat this and not that. What are your thoughts on that?
This is a great question because right now we live in it. We're living the fad world of us training a specific way, eating a specific way. But there's actually stories of what fitness is before we go into what fad is, right? So for example, and I was just sharing with my wife, Rose, if you look back on training, it started out way back, right, in our history with hunters, gatherers, builders. And they do things with a purpose. They wake up, the hunter knows gotta hunt for his tribe. The gatherers gotta go and gather to feed their tribe. And the builders gotta make sure that their community is safe by building the structures that's necessary so everyone is safe and resting and living safely in their community. But when you go in from, for example, now from the countryside, from everybody doing like farmers pushing, pulling naturally, how do you live that in the inner city? Right? So that's where the fitness industry comes in, because they gotta imitate and mirror what all the hunters, gatherers, and warriors and builders did, or
being
is still
natural,
doing.
kind of
More natural,
yeah.
Right? Like Rose's family, her brothers, they have their family business is the rice plantation in the Philippines, Pampanga, and compared to me, I grew up here, right? Used to watching TV when I wake up. I don't have to worry about farming. Having my breakfast, going to school, I can go to McDonald's. Compared to them, they gotta eat rice, they gotta go to the market, and then they gotta cook it. But even before they eat their meal, they gotta go to the rice field. And if you meet her family, her brothers and her sisters, they're all naturally fit. Have even better strength and endurance than me. So now, going back to your question about what are the fad diets, we gotta remember that the fitness industry also have to make money. And they always look for brands to say, we gotta eat a certain way and train a certain way, and then they start to categorize you. You know, you gotta go into CrossFit, you gotta eat keto diet, you know, all this approach. But then you gotta ask the question again, does this match your lifestyle? Are you able to access it financially? Do you have the time to prepare meals in a certain way?
So speaking of lifestyle, what would you say in your experience are the biggest obstacles, especially here in our community, to being fit and living healthy?
The biggest obstacle in our community, actually nationwide, we're not different.
Okay.
When you know, I've been to Australia, I've been in the mainland, and my friends, family, Philippines, everywhere, right? Is the generation that we're living now. And the generation that we're living now, you know, social media driven. You gotta eat a certain way, live a certain way, dress a certain way, speak a certain way, look a certain way. That's the biggest obstacle. And sometimes they ask me when I post, like, wow, Jerry, today you have 50 likes with that post, and the other day you have 100 likes, you know, because you post this meal or you posted that exercise. So now it doesn't become about, yes, it's inspiring it's others, but then I begin to ask myself, did I inspire them in a certain way, to live a certain way, or do a certain, you know, eat a certain way, or did I drive them to more confusion? You know, so those are the biggest roadblocks, because right now we got abundance of everything.
Everything we need to be successful, really.
Success, yes.
Yeah.
You know, abundance of food, access to family. You know, we don't go hungry. You know, we go to it. We're living a family extended. You know, and when you do start to have a fitness goal, you get questioned why. Why are you doing that? It's expensive. You know, it takes time. So, but all of that, it's because of what we see. All the images we see, and those are the roadblocks that I feel now that I've observed, especially as an educator, speaking to the youth and to our community.
Kind of like, if I understand you correctly, the challenge of being externally motivated by the validation you get from social media for whatever you do versus having that internal motivation. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Yeah.
very much, yeah.
Let's delve a little bit more into the psychological part of that. This related to, for example, how fitness affects our moods and short-term, long-term effects.
Going back to your question with what is fitness, right? What is it for? We go into the gym, what is the result we're looking for? The result for fitness in the first place is to have that positive mood, to have that positive result. Like today, I started out my first day of training, or today is my third month into my fitness journey. And that makes me feel good. And when it makes me feel good, I go to work and I'm happy. You know, I go home to my family, if you have family, right? To go home to. If you're single, you go with your friends and you're just happy, right? But then there's also the challenge, the psychological challenge, where if you start to not notice the changes and results
That you wanted.
then you begin to isolate yourself, because it goes back again to that expectation and validation, which is very critical in every individual in whatever stage or status that you live in. Everybody goes through it, and whether I'm training Miss Morenas, or I'm training a doctor at the hospital, or I'm training a director at PSS, everybody goes through those challenges. And sometimes, for example, my job is to bring it back to reality. And one example is Dr. Bobby Cruz, who is also a board member of the Humanities Council, correct? And he loves making people happy, right? He's a great leader, very intelligent, successful. But also he needs to hear that it takes balance, that he needs to make time for himself. And when he makes time for himself, whether it's training, taking time to sleep, those are results to help him be 100% so he can produce more the next day, every day.
Would you recommend or not that if somebody has a fitness goal, they let people know, for example, on social media? Or would you recommend that just keep it to yourself until you get there or until you're really, on your way? What are your thoughts?
Great question. And my usual response to this is individualized. It depends on the person's personality. If you want to post. If you want to keep it to yourself, keep it to yourself. But that's where the psychological aspect comes in, because it depends too on what behavior stage you're in.
Tell us more about that.
Right, and this is very interesting, right? Because also as an educator, as a behaviorist, I work with students with autism, and it's nothing different through guiding individuals to conquering their fitness goals. Because we want to, for example, see students succeed and graduate, right? Whether you have a disability or you're in the general population. The first step is the how. The next step is the planning, the behavior stage. Once you pass those two and you start to take action, you start to experience results. And then when you start to experience results and you like it or you don't like it, you're able to make changes. So for example, what a lot of people don't see is for that individual, for example, who has a weight loss goal, went through all the phases. Pre-contemplation, contemplating, all the way to taking action. Has lost, for example, the goal is to lose 30 pounds, but lost already 40 pounds, looked great. Started posting social media. There's always that last stage that everybody goes through, which is the relapse stage.
I was gonna say.
Right?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
And this is what the individual will go through. Whether you let everybody know in your family or your friends, whether you post it to your thousands of followers. Because people in the store, we got to see what happened. I don't know if you have ever experienced this, but they'd be like, you were doing so good, what happened? You look like you're gaining weight. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but I go through that all the time. My clients go through that. Almost everyone goes through that every time.
Oh, that's rough, man.
Yes, that relapse stage. And then that relapse stage helps you, bring you back to, okay, am I gonna get back on track? Because I got off the positive wagon.
Yeah.
Or this is so depressing, and I don't know what to do because I've already met my goal, and how do I get back on track? So that's where the behavioral stages come in, and it affects psychologically it affects you, and mentally, how do you motivate yourself, right? To get started, to keep going, and if you start to experience obstacles and challenges and start to question yourself, why am I doing this in the first place? Why am I spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on being fit?
And time and energy.
Time and energy,
it's a
yes.
commitment you're in.
Discipline and consistency. You start to ask that question.
And the answer is?
Only the person will know.
You got to find your own.
Right.
Figure out your own problem, your own particular obstacle.
Right. There's no
not
one
everybody's
answer.
the same.
Right.
That is so interesting.
It's so interesting.
Because there also might be some kind of emotional block or something as to why maybe people aren't going as far or being as consistent, or I don't know. I'm asking. I'm not telling. I'm asking.
I love that you brought up about emotions.
Yeah.
Because like like me, I'm a fire. I'm a fire element. I can keep fighting, but also you gotta remember some are introvert, and some even when they start to feel success or experience success and failures, they keep it to themselves. That's where the danger comes in, and also that's where the danger of the biggest edge, which is the suicidal, because you wanna make everyone happy around you, but you forget that it's about you. So that's where we get lost in translation, because it's such a complex experience that sometimes that's where your circle of family and friends comes in and accept you as you, because everyone's elements are so different. And like in our community here, we're surrounded by family, but there are also individuals that don't have family that are away. Like right now, for me, my family is only my wife and my kids here. My mom's in Guam, my brothers in my brothers in the mainland. And I also have to be surrounded by life mentors that will help pick me up when I question myself too, when I go into relapse and ask myself, why am I doing this?
So it's important to have supportive people around you when you're trying to do this.
Exactly. And
people who genuinely care about your success.
Yes, that would continue to keep your fire going.
Well, we're chatting today with certified personal trainer Jerry Diaz, and we'll be back with more after this break.
I Northern Marianas Humanities Council, Bula Guinahanya puri historian Marianas dan kultura. Sinyon soda esisihan and formasyon gi zon mami website nmhcouncil.org, pat bisita gi YouTube, pat Facebook. Guahalokwe diferentes clases leblo na sinya un fan. In Northern Marianas Humanities Council has Zuzura Todu I Experiencia Tautau.
Welcome back to Your Humanities Half Hour. We are talking about the psychology of fitness and health today. Jerry, one of your philosophies is that it's important that any fitness regime be driven by the person versus driven by the trainer. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a great question, because this is where my secrets as a trainer come up.
Okay, spill the beans.
Yes. So sometimes it's as simple as sustainability.
What do you mean?
Can you sustain your approach the same way every day? Can you eat this same way every single day? Can you eat carb diet, carb zero every single day? Can you train with barbells or get on the treadmill for hours every single day? So one of my secrets, which we'll share with you and our community, is when you, for example, if your max is 100%, right? What I share with my clients for year-round sustainability is to train at 70%. Meaning, out of 5 meals, you can have a cheat meal every single day, right? Meaning, don't skip. Because if you skip, what's gonna happen? Your body's gonna inflammate and you're gonna binge. There's no way around it. We're all humans, right? It's gonna happen. Your mind, your nervous system is gonna say, you know what? I'm digging in my fat storage for energy, but I don't have energy to dig, to transform fat storage into sugar. Because you need food, which is the weirdest science. You need food to lose weight if you want to lose weight. You need food to build muscle and rebuild after training, right? So that's where the 70% comes in. If your max for lifting is 100 pounds, then you should lift at 50 to 60 pounds, right? Whether it's a press or a pull. So that means
because it's sustainable.
Sustainable.
Yeah.
So now, if, for example, you're a fighter, right? Or you're a fireman, so you got 2 firemen, one is lifting max every day, 100%.
That shouldn't last very long.
That's not gonna last long. That fireman is gonna be sore the next day.
Yeah.
Compared to the other fireman who's training at 70%, is gonna be ready for any call.
And the nice thing about that philosophy is everybody's 100% is different, so everybody's doing their 70%, which is appropriate for them.
Right.
Yeah.
But then that's where all the variables come in, which is you gotta feed, your source. That's where your nervous system, your circularity, all of that needs to be in balance.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's balanced, you're able to heal. Right? And when you're able to heal, you can rest well. And when you're able to rest well, you can repeat.
Yeah.
But then that's the secret to how to be year-round successful. So when I train my athletes or when I train my clients, it's year-round. Year-round fitness.
Share with us, if you would, like one of a memorable or meaningful success story that you've had in your career.
So one of the success stories, which is still happening now, Miss Rhonda.
Because it's sustainable.
It's sustainable. And this is so cool because this is actually we're 1 year anniversary last month.
Yeah.
And she asked me a question last week, which was, Jerry, how come we never weigh in? But did you know that I've lost 50 pounds in 1 year? And all these comments I'm getting and compliments that I look great.
Yeah, so why don't you weigh in?
And guess what my response?
I want to hear it.
Yeah, so my response was because initially when you share with me, when I asked you what's your goal, you said you want to move freely and you want to enjoy training. So when I hear that, I made it about you, right? I made it about Miss Rhonda, nurse practitioner at CHC. She's also the director for her department. And now I train her to train with a flow, where it's not too easy, where it's boredom. It's not too intense, where you build anxiety and stress. You just don't feel the time when you're training, right?
You mean you might enjoy it?
You're enjoying it.
Oh, okay.
You're enjoying every single day, like you, right? Like your best interviews, that 2 hours, for example, felt like 30 minutes. And since you're great at what you do, for sure you haven't experienced any bad interviews where it felt forever.
No, I haven't, because I enjoy it.
Right.
I enjoy listening to
exactly.
people. Yeah.
And that's how you make me feel too. And I feel like I can talk for days, right? And right now I'm in a flow. And you help.
I get that,
right,
actually, during our chat.
Right, you help me get into this state of mind, which is I'm in a flow. I don't mind if whatever I say, it doesn't have to be critical, it doesn't have to be scientific, it just has to be connecting with our people. And that's what also training is about, which is it has to connect with the person, right? And for her, losing 50 pounds, it's a bonus. Because now she moves freely and she moves with the flow.
Coming into this interview, I kind of looked at what a personal trainer studies, what their different topics and stuff like that. And we do have a few minutes if you'd like to mention any of those, but really the heart of what I'm getting from you is that it is an individualized approach, it's a holistic approach, it's a sustainable approach, and all of those things make it healthy and ultimately lead to fitness. That's what I'm getting, but I do want to give you a chance. If there's any other particular techniques or anything you'd like to highlight, you can.
Yes. To share with our community before we close it off, just to rephrase of what we've shared this time is there must be balance and there must be purpose. And when you have both, you also need to trust the process, that it's not an overnight success, whatever your goal is, whether to lose weight, whether to move freely, or whether to be a champion in a specific sport. And what's important is to feel complete, just like what we discussed earlier, mind, body, and spirit. Doesn't matter your size, doesn't matter what is your status. And for me, what makes me complete, like what I said, is being home with my wife and my daughters, Hannah and Maha, right? And when I have that, when I'm complete, I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry when I'm away. I don't have to worry when I'm training a client, because I'm present. I'm present at that moment. And when I'm sharing this with the youth, whether I'm training teenagers, whether I'm training adults, professionals, doctors, whoever it is, the goal is always about to educate, to empower, to lit that fire and inspire them, to make them believe that anything's possible. And if we have a few minutes, I have a short story.
Yes, please.
And this is 20 years ago. And I guess this is one of the driving force, and my wife Rose knows this, which is I used to work at NMC Health and Nutrition Department. And I was listening to one of your interviews with Dr. Kurt Browns. And when I heard him, we just come full circle, because I worked with them. I was the gym coordinator assistant for Rufino Agon, our national coach. And being surrounded by Uncle Tony Satur, by bodybuilding champion Jerome Ikopo, Dr. Kurt Barnes, Lisa Lund, Tony Satur, you get a sense of a different type of mindset, that you have to go through the trials and errors to be able to be successful. And I guess having that opportunity to grow in that department with those leaders, that gives me also the hope that for myself, that something that I can replicate and mirror to what I'm doing now, which is pass it to the next person. And that's why going into this interview, I hope to pass this to the next person who has the same passion as me, who can continue to inspire others and do it genuinely without looking for a reward, because the reward has to be natural, which has to be internal.
Well, I really want to thank you for your time today, and for you and your wife inviting me to your home to do this interview. If people would like some more information or your help, how can they get in touch with you?
As an educator or a fitness trainer, my Facebook's Jerry Diaz, same, or you can contact me at 788-4169.
788-4169.
And I get messages, and if I send me a question, send me an inquiry, and it doesn't have to be about you being a client. And if I'm able to make time, whether it's early in the morning when I wake up before training, or late at night before I go to bed, I'll do my best to respond, because I do love helping our community. Thankful for Mariana's Variety for the BBJ Fitness Corner, where every week, every Friday, we have fitness topics, thanks to James Sablon Jr., who also gave me that opportunity to share essential fitness nutrition knowledge with our community. And when we're able to educate our community, our youth, it goes back to the question about fitness. Less doctor visit, more about living healthy, living happy, and living with a purpose.
Our guest today has been Jerry Diaz. We've been talking about the psychology of fitness and health. He's a certified personal trainer with the National Academy of Sports Medicine and also a certified fitness nutritionist. This has been your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry.
This program was supported by a We the People grant awarded to the Northern Marianas Humanities Council from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.